Welcome to VMware Explore 2022 with the CTO Advisor Studio. Come on in and consume some content.
Welcome back to day three coverage of VMware Explorer 2022. We promised that we were going to bring you some of the most interesting conversations via the CTO Advisor Studio, and we've delivered on that. We've talked to VMware, Oracle Cloud, Cohesity, the list goes on and on. Independent conversations with the decision makers, the people who are on the ground making hybrid infrastructure real. That conversation continues with Oracle Cloud customer Cyberreason and their global IT senior director Iztik I'm sorry.
It's Iztik Moshaof. Yeah, I will introduce you.
You know what? Before the end of the day, well, I'm going to get that. I'm going to actually practice saying your
We'll
name.
work on it. Don't
We'll
worry.
work on it.
Yeah.
Iztik, you're the unicorn. You're multi-cloud,
Yeah.
and you're one of the first customers to kind of embrace, or at least talk about embracing the VMware Cloud solution. So we're going to walk through that journey. First, who is Cyberreason and what do you guys do?
Yeah. So first, thank you for having me. Cyberreason is a cyber security company. We put our goal to move the advantage to the company and not to the attacker. The way we do it is like we have sensors talking to an AI server as a SaaS server that sits in the cloud. We also have an on-prem solution for companies that don't want to go out to the internet. So the idea is you have this big server with a lot of compute power, collecting logs from everything, from your switches, your firewalls, your computers, your desktop, your iPads, whatever is connected to the network, and whenever it is. It could be like in the cloud, it could be your on-prem, it could be when you're vacationing or you're at home. So we know something is happening, it will tell this AI server that, give them the logs and the data, and we wrap it all in something we call a MLOp. Okay, the old process is XDR, this is the new word right now. So we wrap it up in a MLOp, and the MLOp is like the whole event, the whole attack. Sometimes you can have even 2 or 3 MLOps running at the same time, like 2 or 3 attackers that sits there, or maybe it's running already a few years before Cyberreason came. And we help you handle it. We give you a full forensic. You can drill down in a very nice GUI, drill down to the email or the attachment or the discount key or whatever the attacker came from. And we'll give you a full forensic, help you to protect yourself, block it, or maybe even let the attacker continue and see what he's trying to get, because sometimes you want to know what he's doing there.
Right.
I mean,
What's
you block,
you all you want to just block them. You want to know, well, they might.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you want to block them right away. Sometimes you want to see where they're headed.
It depends what you're doing, yeah. You'll be surprised.
That is an interesting business model. So it's always curious when a security company chooses to outsource any part of their infrastructure. So walk me through the decision process to even start out with a VMware cloud solution, because from both a financial perspective and a operations perspective, a lot of CIOs, CTOs question why even to go with a VMware cloud on a hypervisor, on a hyperscaler.
From a finance phase, it doesn't make sense, I know. So we will talk about ROI and CTO and stuff, but so I joined the company 3 years ago, and I inherited a company that her IT wasn't like, there were no policies and stuff, so everybody was doing everything, people spending with a credit card and helping others handle their cyber attacks. So I joined 3 years ago, did a kind of a mapping the whole environment. It took me like almost 2 months. And I understand, okay, so I have this floor of my on-prem data center. It's not that big. It's not that I need to do a hardware refresh. So I know I'm going to need to put some money on creating something that is more scalable, and something more stronger that will allow the company to do what they want to do. And then I went to the management. I sat with my CEO and the CTO in the company. I was trying to understand where do they want to be. So I planned for 3 years. I spoke with them. They said, okay, we have a momentum right now. We still need to grow, and we need to have the right infrastructure to allow us to grow. So I started with the amount of people. How much do we want to recruit? Back then, 3 years ago, we were 500 employees globally. So it's kind of a medium company, not that big. I mean, if you look at it globally. And the growth that they talked about were thousands, okay? So I had to be ready for that. So I understand, right away I understand, okay, my floor is not enough for
Right.
that. I cannot do that. So we did start to look at the other solutions. The first thing that came up was the co-location, like taking my servers or even do the refresh and put them in a co-location site. And then, okay, so the architect himself is based on VMware vSphere. So it has to run on an ES6 environment, okay? So native cloud back then didn't make any sense. So we did a calculation for 3 years, and then I sat with all of my R&D team leaders, all of them, and I asked them, okay, what would be your dream? What would be your dream environment? And they asked for a Bugatti. And I told them, listen, I'm far from that right now, and I cannot do that in my current floor, okay? So we need to do something bigger. So they asked for tons of things. They complain about the CI/CD processes. It's taking way too long. So we have these sanity checks before we move the code to production, and it takes back then it took like 2 weeks. Okay,
Oh, wow.
the whole process. It's 2 weeks, and we kind of implemented somewhere about 1,000 machines doing the tests, and then the lead themselves. And it was too long, and I learned the process. I understand what they're doing there. It's all based on templates with the vanillas that you run automation on that. The whole automation is also running on vSphere, so it has to speak the same language, whatever solution you'll find. And that's why it makes sense to put it on a co-location site. Okay, so I'm putting vSphere, I'm controlling it. I can continue with my own automation on that, so it should be smooth. So we calculated an ROI for 3 years. I did prove that we can, it will be worth doing that. So I said, okay, I can convince the company to do that. And right before I did it, and remember, this is 3 years ago, okay? This is pre-pandemic. And then COVID hit us. And when COVID hit us, it kind of changed everything. So I said, okay, before I go to the management, I need more numbers, and I need to see, okay, something is changing here. This is big, okay? We're talking about January, February, something like that. And that's when I went to speak with my management again. And I asked them, okay, where would you like to be 5 years from now, not 3 years? And they did plan that far, and the dream was a lot bigger. And it all depends on what will happening in the next few months and how the Padmatic will actually implement the business. So I said, okay, I have to be ready for that, and a co-location growth, I mean, the scale up and scale out is not that fast. I mean, if you want to add another ES6, you need to buy it, you need to install it, you need to maintain it, and add it to your clusters and everything, and it will take time to add an additional ES6 server. And remember, as I said, I'm handling the R&D lab, okay? So every process that we do there is like we extracting a lot of templates, doing the tests, and then delete them. So I need to be able to scale up and scale out really, really fast. And that's where the cloud makes sense. So I searched it up. Nobody talked about it back then. So I went to the vendor himself. I spoke with VMware, I brought them to the table. I told them, guys, this is my challenge. This is what I need to do. What's the solution? What do I have out there? What's my options? Again, they did talk about co-locations, but then we started to talk at the cloud, and back then, 3 years ago, AWS and VMware had a partnership when VMware is actually in the front. So you can build your own ES6 on AWS data centers with the same experience of managed services. So it was perfect. I said, okay, I don't need to.
On the AWS underlay, which
Right.
what's more expandable than the AWS underlay?
Right, you don't need to take care of power. You don't need to get to the data center to fix something because the roadwork's closed, okay? Remember the beginning of the Padmatic, you couldn't even get to your servers and fix them. So we went to AWS, we started with that. and then we found a new word. Okay,
So talk to me about that VMC on AWS experience and what made you consider OCVS, Oracle Cloud VMware solution.
okay. So as I said, AWS was the only option out there back then. Um, let me fix that. The only option that VMware will be in the front, which means if you
Okay.
have any problem, you can go to VMware directly because everything is based on ES6 in my environment. So after seeing that it's working really, really good, you can scale up and scale out in a click. You don't even have to worry about it. The automation is doing it himself. And I said, okay, the cloud is my solution. I did convince the management to put the money over there to take this risk. But when I showed it like 5 years of ROI. Okay. A year later, a partnership came between Cyberreason and Oracle. They are our customers, we are their customers. They sell in Cyberreason as a security layer of the cloud. And they told me, okay, let's test this. And remember, this is back then, 2 years ago. Okay, I'm here in AWS already. I know the cloud, I know the experience. My team already learned how to handle that. There's actually a transmission from a sysadmin to a DevOps engineer because you're doing automation in the cloud for the team. So there's also a gap over there that you need to fill. So I started to check this. We did a POC with OCVS, with Oracle VMware Cloud, and we saw that the same dollar that we put on AWS is different than OCVS with the Oracle Cloud. Yeah, the interesting thing about it, I thought it would be the same because it's saying, okay, this is vSphere, it's running on a service. What could be different? So apparently the bare metal are a bit stronger in terms of CPU and memory, which is what I need in my case. Okay, this is my architect, I need more CPU and memory. Where in AWS, the focus for the environment that we took over there was more like storage.
Storage IO was
Right.
better.
Yeah, a lot better. And again, back then, so you have this Oracle not managed service, which means you still need to manage the bare metal.
Yeah, one of the things that they are very proud of, they give you access to the root and you just,
Right.
but now you're back in the business of managing.
That's exactly the point.
ESXi.
So back at the beginning, and remember, we're learning through the phase, okay? At the beginning, I thought it's going to be a problem. I want to manage service. I don't want to take care about the bare metal.
Right.
You do that. But then I saw that it's a great advantage. I mean, right now you can buy this service, okay? This is a managed service on Oracle. You pay a little bit more, but you get this service. But I didn't buy that. And the reason for that is like managing your risk. So on AWS, for example, vSphere 8 was just announced 2 days ago, I think. And AWS will probably go there in a very close period of time.
Right.
And I'm not sure my automation will be ready for that, okay? Maybe there will be a gap in there. And remember, I still have something in my on-prem lab that sits on 6.5 because we have a thing with Apple. Never
Technical
mind.
debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Apple, you have to run on bare metal Apple and they support 6.5 tops.
Oh, that's as far as they
Yeah,
go.
so if I'll go to 8, there's probably
lose
a
your
big,
Apple
it's
underlay.
it's a huge jump, by the way, technical. So my automation might stop working, or it will work only on the cloud, not on on-prem. So I want to manage that. In Oracle, I can do that. I'm controlling the versions, the patching and everything myself. So what I thought would be a challenge actually turned out to work for me. It's actually an advantage. I can manage my risk. I have this cloud environment doing the latest and the best and the latest, and I have this Oracle that I control. I can be at the latest, but I cannot. I can control that.
So let's talk about the multi-cloud nature of what you do. So you're solid into OCVS and Oracle Cloud, but as I understand it, you have some native cloud stuff in Azure.
Yeah,
What drove that decision?
Research, actually. The research team in Cyberreason came to me and said, we need to check specific thing in Microsoft. So I said, okay, let's build everything you need. They needed Exchange, for example, proxies, Windows from all versions and stuff. So there was something very, very much specific. I won't go into the details that they need to test on environment of Office 365 and stuff like that. And the only way to do it is actually using the native cloud in Azure. So now we have the GCP with our architect, okay? The AI server sits on GCP, and you need to protect it. So we have a Cyberreason over there, we have firewalls, we have an NS6 that actually manage the whole layer of networking, and I have Azure doing my research team doing their stuff over there, and you want to keep it in a closed environment because we're dealing with cybersecurity. So the things that we're doing there, you have to make sure it doesn't go out. Nobody plays there. So we're using kind of a jump server to getting into this environment. I have this AWS lab doing this all automation of deploying templates with um, a really fast deployment. Okay, we'll talk about it in a second. And I have this Oracle thing, the new thing that we jumped in 2 years ago to Oracle, and Oracle actually opened the world for us because you get more CPU and memory, and when you deploy service, yes, I/O is really important because at the end of the day you're writing into a disk, no matter if it's a flash or not. But when the CPU and memory are stronger, the tests that we are doing are a lot faster. So if you remember, we talked about 2 weeks period of sanity tests,
Right.
and which was taking all time for the CI/CD process. And if it breaks, you need to run it again. Um, we came down to 2 days. Okay, from remember 2 weeks came down to 2 days, and we're running 100,000 servers when we run only 1,000 before. So it's changing the whole way you think about ROI because implementing the business himself, support team, think about the support team, think about sales engineers, everything is running a lot faster. The blueprint is like crazy. So I'm a multi-cloud and I still have my on-prem, well, we talked about it. So I need something, a layer to manage everything. And if you want, we can dive into that. That's where implemented VRA lies.
Let's, the vRealize folks would love to have that kind of high-level overview. So let's talk about that because VMware talked about their ARIA announcement. And so I would love for you to give some customer perspective of using vRealize and what you're looking forward to, or even if you're looking at ARIA as a result.
So, as I said, I needed a layer I need something to speak with all of those clouds in the same language, okay? And what I have in common is the vSphere, okay? Everything is VMware based. So we went back to VMware, my partner, and we asked them, okay, what's the solution? What do we have there? And they introduced me to vRealize. And again, I'm telling you, I'm learning through the process, okay? Because it's not like nobody talked about it, but they were all salespeople.
Right.
I don't want to talk to sales. I want someone that actually felt it, someone
Right.
that actually was born and said, okay, be careful from that. So I brought VMware. They told me, okay, let's get your personnel ready for that. We'll go send them to some courses, show them around. So I said, no, I want to do it through the run. I want them to learn through the process. I got this environment and trust it fully. It's working. Let's take like a small part of it. Let's try to kind of a POC through the run, and then you're learning through that. And I have to say, I have a very talented team, okay, so I fully trust them, and that's why I took this risk. They learn, and we didn't talk about it, but I came down from 4 sysadmin to only two DevOps engineers actually, and those two that I actually I moved them to my corporate IT support team, okay, we added an additional 4 people over there, and that's actually helped me with my SLA. Okay, so I'm solving more problems. I got less people needed to do that.
You're a walking like testimony to automate,
Yeah.
reallocate, provide better service at the end.
And remember, it's a big risk. Okay,
Yes.
you're putting everything in the same basket, and it's kind of dangerous. So they showed me VRA. We started to implement that, and we saw, okay, now I can create a blueprint. One blueprint in one place, give the experience of the R&D or support or sales engineers they have the same experience, and it's in the cloud. It's in the same latency, no matter where they sit. They can be at home, they can be working hybrid, they can be in VMware Explorer doing their work, or on the beach in Thailand, as far as I care. They get the same experience because it's in the cloud, and the vRealize speaks with everything, the same language, really, really fast solution. You got great eyes on your environment because you're looking at one place, okay? You have the VROps layer of that. So VROps actually looks at the VRA and give you the data on what's happening over there. And you're still managing your on-prem, which was, at the beginning, was a gap because, as I said, it's two different versions.
Two different major versions of
Yeah,
vSphere.
and VRA takes care. I mean, you can tell that okay, put the deployment of this environment where will be cheaper for me, and he will decide. I mean, they will check and they decide. If we're running out of space of ESX in, for example, Oracle, I mean, now I have like 27, 28 servers, ESX servers, like as my base on Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm doing my sanities checks, we sometimes jump to an additional 4 servers, okay,
Wow.
during the process. This is on 2 days period, okay? Think about it. I'm adding 4 servers and I'm deleting them at the end. You cannot do that in a co-location. I mean, doing that will take me like two months to do that. Just getting the hardware and stuff like
Right.
that. So it's a all new world. So when you think about ROIs and stuff, everything changes. The pictures show that, okay, what I planned for 5 years, I actually closed the gap in 2 or 3 years, which is significant. It's implementing directly the business. We're doing a lot more. Nobody's waiting for a CPU power anymore. Everything is out there waiting for you to do what you want to do. Um, so things will happen fast. We grow from 500 employees to 1,600 in 2 years during the pandemic. Okay, so think about it. Companies was closed all around. They bankrupt and everything. So and we're growing.
So this has been a story that I've heard consistently throughout the show and the couple of years. Companies transforming as a result of the lockdown and the pandemic, and being given, IT leaders being given more leeway to try new things to solve these unique challenges, and then at the end of it becoming digital organizations themselves and transforming their business. I appreciate you taking the time. I could talk about this literally all day because this is the meat of what the VMware story is. Not just the Oracle Cloud story, but the VMware story of mixing hybrid infrastructures, private data center, VMware vSphere on premises, native cloud, and Microsoft Azure, and VMware Cloud and Oracle Cloud infrastructure. You're the walking testimony. I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking out the time.
There is one more point.
Oh,
I have
one
to
more
say,
point.
Yeah, I got like the biggest advantage I got. I didn't even think about it at the beginning. Let me guide you through. I have this AWS thing. All of my templates are over there.
Right.
And when I did the migration to Oracle, I copied the data, okay? So I have these templates over there also. So all I need to do is find a tool to sync between them, and I have a DR out of the box, which I didn't think about it. And so I'm fully protected right now.
You're backing up your Oracle Cloud VMware solution to
Yeah,
VMC
because
array
it's
on
based
the
on
Azure.
templates. So the same templates I have in the two environments. So I have a DR. There you go. It's perfect.
The magic of the public cloud and legacy infrastructure, huge business growth
Right.
off of this model where people are telling us we need to move from. Here's the counter case where it makes the case for cloud and combining your existing operations and accelerating your business at the end. You want to learn more about the CTO Advisor, you can follow us on the web, thectoadvisor.com. Stay tuned for more coverage from VMware Explorer 2022.